Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the session today. My name's Tim Newton, and I'll be the moderator of the session. A couple of quick housekeeping notes before we get started. So all attendees, if you've joined us this morning, you will be muted for the duration of the session. But we would like to try to make this interactive towards the end of the roundtable. And as such, if you'd like to ask a question, please use the chat feature. And time permitting, we'll get to your answers. We'll get to answering your questions. If we don't have time to answer the questions, we'll do our best to follow up after the session to provide those answers for you. Today's webinar has been brought to you by the partners at the Business Development Centre, which is home to Collingwood's Marketing and Business Development Department. Thank you to Karen particularly for putting all of the legwork in to bring the session together. Also, the Collingwood Business Improvement Area, or BIA, is housed in the Business Development Centre, as well as the Centre for Business and Economic Development, and the organisation I work for is the Small Business Enterprise Centre. So this roundtable is the first of a two-part series that we've called Making Your Online Store a Local Success Story. So this time next week, same time, same place, we'll be delivering a session that digs into a bit more detail around the tech tools and tips and tricks, specifically from a platform perspective, to help make your online store a local success story. Today, though, we've been joined by some of our local heroes and business owners that have prepared themselves to speak about their success through this transition. So this morning we have Jeff Weersink from Minds Alive, Toys, Crafts, Games and Bookstore. Thanks, Jeff, for giving us a wave. We have Cheryl McMenemy from Collingwood Olive Oil. There's Cheryl. We have Catherine Maxwell from Blue Mountain Tea Company, who's just made herself a cup of tea, and we're all very envious. We have Guy Laporte, who is from Collingwood Flowers and Decor. Thanks for joining us, Guy. And Alex Haddy from Good Grief Coffee Roasters. Thanks all for joining us this morning. So my objective for you, our audience, is to lubricate, you get the reference to olive oil there, the minds of our panelists and follow the scent, Jeff, sorry, Guy, that one was for you, so as to tease out through good gamesmanship and encourage each of them to spill the beans on all that they know to be good about their online retail success stories. We shall aim to inspire and educate you on how to make your online store a retail success story. So I encourage you to keep your ears peeled as our panelists share their marketing secrets, we hope. And you'll hear firsthand about their successes and some of the pitfalls that they have gone through as they have complemented their bricks and mortar stores with an online store. You'll probably have heard, and if not already, but you will hear shortly about new languages being used in this landscape. Things like omni-channel, to provide consumers with solutions to purchasing both in-store and online, whether it's through websites, new app developments, actual live interaction with online resources, and even voice ordering. Bricks and mortar is not, as we're hearing, going to go away. There will still be a need for it. And the experts in research are talking about those bricks and mortar stores being halos, a physical halo to support the online channels for sales. We also know that in the US, in just 1 week last month in May, sorry, in one week span in March, over 2 days on the prior week, online sales saw a growth of 25%. This is not something that we can ignore and is extremely important for us to be able to react to and respond to quickly. So my first question for our panelists is really to ask them to give us a quick introduction, about 60 seconds, if you would, on your business, both bricks and mortar and online. And perhaps for context, just let us know, if you wouldn't mind, how you've been impacted by the pandemic thus far. So let's kick off with Alex.
Sure. So I'm one half of Good Grief Coffee Roasters in Thornbury. Today is actually our 11-month anniversary. We have the bricks and mortar in Thornbury. There we have the cafe. We serve coffee. We have an in-house pastry chef, and she's been amazing. She's done, everything scones and homemade donuts, and those have been deliciously amazing. with the bricks and mortar, we did decide to close, just, you know, not to promote people congregating over coffee. So we have moved to online. The timing was kind of perfect for us, actually. We are slowly but surely trickling into the wholesale business. So far, a lot of like grocery type stores in the area have picked up our beans, which has been so amazing. And we have our first big client coming this summer. I mean, if everything reopens, that would be great. And the website is going to help facilitate that. Right now, we are using it for online orders, and it just makes it a lot easier for Jesse and I to manage that instead of him getting a text and my getting an email, and it's just all in one spot, and it's great. The website does have wholesale capabilities as well as retail. That's about it, yeah.
Awesome, thanks, great intro, Alex. Cheryl, how about we go to you next?
Oh, yeah. Good morning. I'm Cheryl, one half of Collingwood Olive Oil with my spouse, Alex. Up until now, we've managed a very interactive, up-close, personal, food experience through tastings and things. And it's topped up with what I call our online shop and our product guide. Up until now, typically our online sales, only about 2.5% of our annual sales were online, and certainly not local shoppers. Local people tend to visit our product information guide that's online for recipes or maybe more product information, but not to buy anything. Typically our online sales generated a visitor to Collingwood, went home to wherever they were, loved our product, wanted more, and ordered refills. So we had to convert our local existing in-person customers to online shoppers. And I remember when all this hit, the end of March, mid to late March, I said to Alex, I said, oh my God, we went to bed last night being a very interactive tasting bar, taste before you buy experience, and woke up the next day to be like a weird consumers distributing kind of thing. So, it's just navigating and getting your head wrapped around where we had to go in a very, very overwhelming time, and felt we had to get there quickly.
Yeah, and you've done a great job at it. We'll dig into that shortly. Jeff, let's move on to you.
So yes, like everyone else so far, I'm just half of the equation. My wife and I both run the stores. Mine's Alive has actually been around for almost 20 years now. And about 10 years ago, or actually it's our 10th anniversary this summer for opening the store in Collingwood. It's been a lot of fun, but this has brought some challenges. We also had an online store for quite a few years and honestly got very few orders off of it. We're maybe a little bit different than some of the other people here. We have now on our online store almost 5,000 items. And I think before people would use it just to kind of check and see what we had in store before they came in, and with very few actual orders. And like everyone else, it's a scary day when we were told to close, and thankfully we could do the curbside pickups, and that's kept us going. And so yes, we've converted a lot of people to ordering online and pick up curbside, which has been huge. And now we're actually getting orders that we're shipping out. So it's been a bit of a relief that it's worked out.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, thanks for that, Jeff. Guy, let's go to you.
Good morning, everybody. My partner Craig and I established Collingwood Flowers in September of 2017. So we still consider ourselves a very new business on the block at 56 Ontario Street. Now, the interesting part about our physical location is that in the history of Collingwood, there's been a flower store there for over 75 or 80 years. And the Smarts flower store that was there before us had been there for 40 some odd years. So there was a tremendous amount of physical traffic in Collingwood that would just gravitate towards 56 Ontario Street for flowers, which was a very interesting phenomenon opening a new business that, you know, we took over the existing phone numbers that had been there and the address, and people just sort of flowed into Collingwood Flowers. But what we knew early on in our business when we established it in 2017, in the fall of 2017, we made online capability a key business goal of ours right from the beginning. It was very clear in our research that in the floral industry globally, that online was where you had to go. The FTDs and the Teleflora businesses, which are still vibrant today, are really beginning to take over the online global market, but they are nothing without local flower delivery production operations like ours. They need local stores. We are not an FTD member. We are not a Teleflora member. We chose not to be part of those conglomerates because of the huge percentage that they take right off the top, reducing profitability for the local store. So we built our own system, and when I say built it, we basically went out, and we'll talk about this some more later, and found a best business model that already existed for florists. But what's important to note about the previous business, in Smarts, over 40 years in retail with no online presence whatsoever. So we really started the online presence for Collingwood Flowers from scratch in 2017. And it was essentially established for the flower business. We also have a home decor business in that same location, so Collingwood Flowers and Home Decor. And we never anticipated that the home decor sector of our business go online. We're starting to rethink that now.
Awesome. Thanks, Guy. And Catherine.
Hey, Tim. So, like everyone who's a Main Street business on this panel, we have an online presence. It was a priority right from day one. I knew that the revenue that I'd earn in a bricks and mortar store that's, 1,000 square feet would not feather my retirement nest. So I knew I had to have other revenue streams. And I think you have to look at, even if you haven't got something going now, it's never too late to start. In our case, we had to build an online store with a local person because there was no solution that fit our unique value proposition right at the get-go. Now Lightspeed has one, so I use an integrated one, but at the beginning, we didn't have one, so we had to build our own. Like Cheryl, our online customers were pretty much all people who had come to Collingwood, liked our tea, gone home to wherever, and ordered it. Now it's gone crazy, thankfully. So you asked about revenue. Our revenue was down in March about 20%. Our revenue was down in April about the same amount. May's been really soft so far. I guess the nice weather doesn't induce tea drinking. But that to say that for us anyway, online has been critical. And I know that we're all different. I know we all offer different value propositions, but if you can find a way to get online, it's what's going to save your business.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, let's move into the second question. Thanks for those intros, guys. How and when, I know Jeff, you sort of answered this already, but how and when did you move your business online? And then how did you choose the e-commerce platforms that you're using? So let's start with Cheryl this time.
Sure. When we first opened Collingwood Olive Oil, like Catherine, we knew online was absolute, key. Not so much, I guess, to get the online sales from the get-go, but we viewed our website, at least our launch website, as a very valuable marketing tool. And included in that, was the full photo carousels, the blogging, the event, all those kinds of things in a full marketing website. As we evolved and acquired customers, I actually revisited the whole thing, and we were a full-blown Shopify website. About two and a half years in, I looked at where I was going, and like everybody else, you know, I'm assuming on the call, very, very small business, and all the blogging and all those other attributes were falling to me, and were getting quite stale because I certainly wasn't doing it. So we revisited about two years in. What we have now, I do not even call a website. I call it our online shop and product resource guide. We've gotten rid of basically all the events, the blogging, the need to do all that, and simplified it. It's an online shop. And I guess all the bells and whistles off. We bring attention to, you know, call it exactly what it is. If you go right on my homepage, big button, start shopping. Just to really drill down, the purposes for us, product information for our existing customers, but sales. You know, we want to generate that as a sales channel, and not a one size fits all. So I guess my message there is for us, it would have been much more helpful if we would have just drilled down and really knew, you know, what we wanted to accomplish online, which I would assume is typically sales, and not maybe installed all the elements that we couldn't possibly have and weren't maintaining over time anyway, and just to get right to the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
That would be my advice, is to actually spend some time before, if you do not have an online presence, figure out what your objectives are, and to start there. Because like I said, in 6 years, we're already on our second variation of it. So.
And do you anticipate that changing again, or are you happy with where you're at now?
I am so happy. We have a big button that says start shopping. I am so happy about that. And that people, so in hindsight, we made we obviously didn't see this coming, but we made very, very good, you know, a very good decision in finding it, you know, for our customers to find an easy way to shop online rather than sift through and try to figure out where our store is. And the other thing that I think is very, very helpful, because it certainly it looks like an online store and product information guide. The other thing that was very, very helpful, and this was Ben as part of the Digital Main Street, is to look at what kind of assets that you have, where your strengths are, and showcase them as part of your shop. So if you go on our homepage, you'll see the one thing that we do enjoy is a lot of TripAdvisor reviews. So you'll see TripAdvisor right up to the forefront to bring visitors into our store. So it's, I guess, a couple of things is to determine what you want your online presence to accomplish and how you reflect, however that might be.
Yeah, excellent, thank you. Alex, same question to you. How and when did you move your business online? Understanding that you're a newer business anyway. And then how did you choose the e-commerce platform that you're using?
Yeah, so we actually started building our website in November. We worked with a local company, Make a Marketing, and they were hired to build and design our website. Running a business is a lot of work, turns out. So I didn't have that much free time to work with them and kind of give them my ideas. And there was just a lot of back and forth. Kind of luckily, COVID happened, lit a fire. We got it done in 2 weeks, and it's great. Like Cheryl's, very basic. You're going there to shop. You're not going there to read a blog about coffee, at least not now. You're going there to find your beans, get your beans the next day type thing. Because we hired Meka, their platform of choice is Squarespace, so we kind of just went along with that. I had never used it before, so it was definitely a learning curve for me, but it's been great so far. It is super straightforward. There are a couple of things that aren't really conducive to our business specifically, but we found workarounds and loopholes with that, so it has been great. With Meka and getting it actually built, kind of just sent them all the photos, all the product descriptions, my kind of vision for it, and then 2 weeks later there it was, and it's been great.
Good. So the response has been positive from the purchasing consumer. Yeah, fantastic. Catherine.
So we opened our doors in December of 2015. We had our website up in April of 2016. couple of things. I've always been a big believer in having staff. I kind of go, I can either do the $15 an hour job or I can pay someone and I can do the other stuff. So I've been fortunate that I've had wonderful staff over the years who've had a lot of skills, whether it's photography or technology, to supplement my weaknesses. So initially, because I'd mentioned our point of sale provider Lightspeed didn't offer an integrated solution, we did a bespoke, a custom built website. I had Nick Brindisi at the time, some of you may know Nick, do it for me. It was done in WordPress. We used WooCommerce for plugins. And then we were able to back end into our Lightspeed retail site, although we didn't have full integrated inventory management functionality. In 2018, Lightspeed evolved and had purchased a European company that had web capabilities. So they offered a full suite solution, at which point I jumped. It's not cheap doing these things. I think my initial cost to build was around $5,000 all in. The Lightspeed costs, I haven't broken out the cost from Lightspeed for the retail versus the website, but I think my subscription is somewhere around $4,000 all in. Then you have your photography and stuff. And what I will say is, if you can make it good, because everything is so visual now. And make sure that your Instagram feed is clean. Make sure it feeds into your website, your Facebook. Like, make sure that you have an integrated, holistic sort of picture and image of your brand. Initially, we did a lot of our own photos in the store, and it shows. And so now I have a photographer I have captured by Kristen, and she's done a great job of capturing all of my images, of making them look clean and consistent and professional, because I'm out there competing with David's Tea and whoever else. The other thing I would say is, what's really helped me is you're only going to raise in placement in searches the more people who hit your site. And so making sure that you can drive everyone you can to your site is important. So I still have a lot of customers that are calling the store. And originally I would take their order and fill it and do it all. Now my message says, go to the site, because I want to get them trained to do that. And then but I also say, but if you can't find what you're looking for, feel free to reach out or call me, but try the site first and click on local delivery. And that way we're getting those eyes on the page, and that's raising our overall presence.
Awesome, thanks. Jeff?
So yes, we first started to try going online probably about 7 years ago. And back then, like Catherine said, there really wasn't the software out there that would integrate your brick and mortar with your online store. So we used 3D Cart at the time, which was just sort of a template. You know, and it was honestly a bit of a nightmare because, you know, if you were out of something, you had to make sure it was not showing up online, because that would always happen. You know, you would run out of something, something's discontinued, somebody orders it, right? And then and price changes and everything, you know, if prices don't go down. So as the prices went up, and then you had to change the prices online. So, you know, then somebody actually ordered it and paid, you know, $10 less than what it should have been. So, so we were pretty happy. We needed to get a new online or retail point of sale system. And just like Catherine said, the main thing we were looking for was that it was going to be integrated with our online site. And so that's when we decided to go with Lightspeed as well. And so the inventory that we have online is what is actually live in the store. And so it's been a huge benefit at this time, right? Somebody can order something and pick it up literally 15 minutes later.
Yeah, and so
for us,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for us, the SKU count that we have, I think we have way more SKUs than most people here. And if you do have a store that has lots of SKUs, then you need something that's integrated.
Yeah. So so really, what you're saying is that if a customer comes in through the store and buys something, it takes it off the inventory count, both online and in the store.
Exactly.
Equally, if they go online and they make a purchase, it takes that inventory count from your store shelf.
Exactly. We've actually had somebody recently who wanted to buy 2 of something, and they sent an email, why couldn't we buy 2? And it's, well, you bought the last one. Right. And so once the one is gone, the last one's gone, it's not visible on the website anymore. We don't want to get into the position of doing back orders and,
Yeah.
you know, and the out of stock messages, we'll send this later. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And Guy, a quick comment from you on the platform that you're using.
As I mentioned earlier, we established at the beginning of our business that online would be a priority. And in order to select the online sales tool that we use, we searched for the best-in-class software that was available for florists. Because retail florists and wholesale florists are such a massive industry across the world, there's a lot of software out there. So we narrowed it down from 10 to 7 to 5 to 3, and we ended up selecting a software package out of the United States, lives in a cloud. We subscribe to it every month. And we upload our product pictures and customize everything we want about our site from our location here in Collingwood. And it integrates seamlessly with our POS system at the front of the store, as well as integrating seamlessly with all of our merchant numbers and merchant services. And on the back end, which is a very big deal for us, it manages all of the production tickets for floral arrangements, deliveries, all that great stuff, including routing deliveries for various delivery vehicles. It's a massive specialty piece of software for florists. During a week like this one, with Mother's Day coming up, especially important, we'll need that to manage some 400 to 600 orders this week.
Yeah, one of, if not the busiest time of year for florists.
It is a bonkers time of year for florists.
Just to reinforce, we appreciate you sharing your time.
Still love Mom.
I'm going to move on to our next question now, which is, what's your approach to order fulfillment and delivery of online purchases? So this sort of speaks to, you know, shipping. There's really nothing worse than being a retailer and you're seeing somebody make a purchase online and then they abandon the shopping cart. So do you have any tips and tricks to helping people move through that transition to make the purchase, as well as, once the purchase has been made, the fulfillment of that purchase? Catherine, let's start with you.
So just to key on your one comment about abandoned carts, that's something, I did a Main Street grant, a digital Main Street grant. So I've used mine with Mountain Life Media. And Brian and I have been working together, and it's been in fits and starts, because like Alex says, when you're actually in the middle of running a business, it's really hard to focus on the online. So COVID's been a bit of a blessing in that we can sort of roll our sleeves up and really look at things. And so we're just about to do an abandoned cart email test to see what we're losing, because we weren't tracking data appropriately. Like Lightspeed has a weird way of not letting the data flow to Google Analytics unless there's a toggle that's hit properly. So anyway, we weren't getting the data. Now we're getting it. We know we have some abandoned carts, so we're dealing with that. So if you haven't gone for a grant, and I don't know if they're still available, but if you can get one, it's worthwhile spending the money to do certain tests like that that you couldn't do by yourself. In terms of fulfillment, you're looking at it. So right now I'm here in the store every day shoveling tea into bags and into boxes and packaging them up and selling and sending them off. If it's local delivery, I'm doing it within 40 kilometers. And you know what? I've had friends offer to help and I've had a few people do it for me, but it's really quite nice to drop it off at someone's doorstep. There's a huge connection that's happening right now with people. And there's a huge amount of loyalty that's being entrenched by doing this personalized service. So as much as I can, I'm doing the deliveries. In terms of shipping, Canada Post is so freaking expensive. And I mean, I'm lucky I'm selling tea. I can't imagine when you're selling big, heavy things. So the decision I made was to really not put a lot of my hard goods on the website. Things that are heavier to ship, that are fragile to ship, so teapots, things like that, that I put on Instagram. And I put things like message me for more information. So that way I'm capturing more of that local group that I can manage. The tea is what's on the website. I've tried to use aggregators for shipping. Right now I'm using one called eShipper. and it's been good. I only started using them about 3 weeks ago, and their prices were definitely 30 to 40% lower than Canada Post. Interestingly, as you probably know, Small Business for Canada Post has just come out with a deal. From now till July, they're offering 30% off shipping. So I've gone back to using Canada Post because their interface is smoother. It's easier to create the labels. And in terms of fulfillment, one thing I will say about Lightspeed, at least for me, because I have a weird thing where I sell by weight, by gram, and my online is 50 grams and my store can be whatever you want, I still have a nightmare in terms of back-end integration with decrementing the amount of tea that goes into an online order. So we're still working through that. Lightspeed couldn't solve it for me. Some big brains that I know were able to help me figure it out, but we're still struggling with fulfillment on that. So Lightspeed's not the be-all, end-all solution for everything, but it's better than what I had.
Yeah. Let's move across to Cheryl, who has probably the heaviest product to ship. How are you dealing with either abandoned carts, and what's your fulfillment strategy?
For abandoned carts, honestly, you were kind of, where Catherine, where you were, but you're addressing it. We're still there. We haven't looked at that at all, to be honest. For fulfillment, I mean, our product can be heavy, especially large bottles of balsamic. And we, have industry specific things that we need to do with our product. So we have to double seal so that the bottles don't leak. Lots of bubble wrap. What we tend to do, just because we're small, is we save all the boxes, all the popcorn, everything that we get from other people, which is a lot of packaging that we're on the receiving end. And we basically repurpose it and send it back to, somebody that orders from us. A couple of things though, we typically, what Alex does, we belong to, and it's a broker house, a courier companies. It's called Flagship. We will put in the weight and dimensions of the package, and it basically, all the local the courier companies bid on that package. So we tend to get that. Canada Post rates are going down, but what we found is that there's been a bit of a delay from Canada Post.
Oh yeah.
Whereas, as the courier companies have been delivering next day. There's two options on our online store right now. Number one is you click, if you're local, click here for store pickup or free delivery, so that delivery does not charge. The other option is shipping right across Canada. We chose early on to do a flat rate shipping of $15 right across Canada, despite the fact that our product can be heavy. So when we are looking at something that might cost $25 or $30 to ship, we're obviously taking it on the shipping end, but that would be a very large order. So we're getting it in the margins. So we just, to keep it simple, to keep it customer friendly, $15. Catherine and I have had lots of conversations about, what we should actually charge for shipping, but that's, where we started, that's where we're still at with it. So. But
Okay,
Flagship is very easy to use and has saved us a bunch of money. So.
That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that. Alex, how about yourself?
Much like Cheryl, abandoned carts are not on our radar right now. Just don't have the time to look into it. But in terms of fulfillment, like Catherine, small team. It's me and Jesse. We're there every other day. He roasts, I bag. That's kind of it. It's a really easy process for us. Also, like Catherine, I'm the delivery lady right now. It's a lot, and it turns out local has a wide berth in this area. So twice a week, I'm spending like 6 and 8 hours driving around delivering, but I'm seeing a lot more of the area that I would not normally see. So, I mean, it has its perks, I guess. We are using Canada Post for us in Thornbury, kind of the only option. Also, it's like 2 feet from our front door, so it's been great. Even with the rates going down, it is still really expensive. We definitely lose money on some orders because we are doing the flat rate shipping thing as well. We, as a business, are part of CFIB, which can't tell you what that means because I don't remember, but that's
the Canadian Federation of Independent Business.
Okay, great.
Great organization.
So we are part of their corporation or whatever, and then they, with other businesses, offer discounts. So we are going to start using Ship Time, which sounds a lot like what Cheryl was talking about. It's going to give you the best rate based on size, weight, whatever. So we're going to start doing that once we get bigger orders, because right now a bag of coffee is like 250 grams. So it's not that heavy and not that difficult to ship.
Excellent, thanks. Jeff, a quick comment from you on this, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I guess we find we've got, with the integration with Lightspeed, we put in the dimensions and the weight of every item. And so it will, and it's integrated with Canada Post, and so it will calculate the shipping charge. And so, you know, if people had two different things, it adds them up cumulatively. We try to be a little bit competitive. Some of our competitors offer free shipping over certain dollar amounts, and so we've done that as well. As of yet, we can't find a way to limit it to just Ontario. So when you send a huge piece of Lego to the Northwest Territories, you're just taking a bath on it. But that's the way it goes, I guess. You know, again, it's just me and one other person that does all the shipping. We've moved, you know, before when we hardly ever did any orders, honestly, you know, we maybe have 3 orders shipped a month before. You know, we just take them down to the Canada Post down the street and they would weigh it and charge away, right? Now we use the Canada Post website and we actually like weigh and have the bathroom scale in the store, because some things we ship are fairly expensive, are fairly heavy. You know, we've puzzles are the toilet paper right now, and you know, people are buying, we're shipping puzzles everywhere. And each puzzle is like 800 grams. So, you know, somebody buys 4 puzzles, well, that's, you know, 3.2 kilograms, and that's fairly expensive. So, and they're over the free shipping mark. So we're shipping 4 puzzles away for free. But yeah, I think, you know, we're just taking a bit of a hit on it for now. For bigger items, we found a way around the system. We can put a little surcharge on it, but still, it's been a bit of a pain, and we're just using Canada Post. And the other good thing with just doing the Canada Post is you can put the customer's email in there and they will send the customer tracking info as well. So we don't have to do that as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
Guy, I'm going to shift gears here and ask you the next question, which is, what's your approach to marketing your online store, and how do you know it's working? Do you have other systems that flow into that online store? So the website in itself is not necessarily found by consumers unless they are specifically looking for your product or service. And Google's getting better, of course, at geofencing areas so that when you search certain things, it will know where you are and find solutions for you relative to that. But if consumers are not looking for you, what's your sort of outreach strategy to market and promote to find new customers?
So I'd have to say that there's kind of a pyramid of approach for us, throwing the very broad net, and for us the broad net is technically global. An example, this week during Mother's Day week, we are getting orders from all around the world through our e-commerce system for delivery to moms in Collingwood and Wasaga and St. Hampton and Thornbury. So those orders are coming in from around the world. So whether you're in New South Wales, Australia, or an order the other day from Brazil, you need search engine capability, SEO, to find what you're looking for. So we rely very heavily on SEO, proper SEO in the back of our e-commerce site. That SEO is focused on 2 categories for our specialty business. The occasions that people buy flowers for. So think about all the different reasons you may want to buy flowers: birthdays, anniversaries, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, on and on it goes. Those are the occasions. And then the geo-targeting is every one of the towns, municipalities, and counties that we can possibly deliver to. So in Grey and Simcoe County, we think about all of those lovely towns I've just mentioned: Wasaga and Blue Mountain and Thornbury and Creemore. They are the hubs within our delivery network. Couple those together to creatively write search engine optimization based on words that are tracked by Google themselves. And this goes into the back end of our e-commerce site to facilitate people being able to find us. It has been extremely successful for us. How do we track it? Google has plenty. Once you have your AdWords account set up and your Google My Business account set up, Google has plenty and myriad of reports. You may need somebody to help you to navigate. I did, to navigate on how to set those reports up properly and to automate them so they come right into my inbox, giving you the number of visits, impressions, clicks, and transferences right over into actual e-commerce purchasing. I can't say enough about the illustrious building of an email list. Our e-newsletter every month goes out to over 3,000 customers. And the response is overwhelmingly a 50 to 60% open rate and almost a 4% click-through rate, which is unheard of. I don't know why we're so great at it. I can take no accountability on that one, but we're happy campers to have it. And locally, to drive sales, again, I can't say enough about Facebook. Facebook, building a simple Facebook post with a beautiful picture and a small amount of text and boosting that post to a geographical area within 30 miles around our physical store location brings us a tremendous amount of business. The Shop Now button is very prominent, or the Message Now button is very prominent on all those Facebook posts. Instagram, not so great. For driving business, but Facebook, big time. And I think Facebook is actually even a better demographic hit for us in the flower business. So those are huge. Those are absolutely huge for us in driving new business.
Great. There's some great tips and tricks and information in there. Cheryl, let's ask you the same question. And would you like me to bring up that slide?
No, that'd be great. Good.
Carl has visual aids.
So, well, she sent me something. I thought,
I have visual aids, yes.
let's go to this one here. There we go. Hopefully everybody can see this. And this is some of the work that Collingwood Olive Oil are doing.
Okay, so I guess the morning Alex and I woke up and said, oh my God, we're consumers distributing, all of a sudden. I mean, we found the whole thing overwhelming. So I got out a piece of paper, and this is, well, I would say it was strategic because it was short-term survival mode strategic. We knew that we had to quickly, we were, 97.5% in-store sales and only 2.5% online. So we looked at just quickly wrote down the baskets of where our sales comes from, and we looked at, okay, restaurant and trade business, that's gone. We looked at customer acquisition, scratch that off because we knew, that was going to be very difficult to do. Looked at the biggest bulk of where our customers, where our sales came from by demographic, and landed on the fact that, it's a 50-something-year-old woman. That's the bucket of our customers. So I said to Alex, I said, well, you know what? I don't have to, I don't have to talk to everybody here. I just got to talk to myself. So keeping that in mind, we came up with almost, because it was so overwhelming, almost remedial messaging to interdisperse on our Facebook and Instagram that would drive local people to our website to shop there, even though they never had. The three things I was trying to get out were that it's safe. That speaks to the one slide there with the number of people, no to the crowd and yes to one. Customer service, we're looking after our customers. To get to that bulk of the people who use a lot of our product, want to be replenished, again, the open bottle. The quick, that it was quick, that it was easy, shop and pay, pick up in store. And the last one there with the phone, I drilled it down. You know, I was overwhelmed with all the messaging. And when you talk about the contactless, contact-free, I actually heard people-less somewhere. I stole a page from the restaurant playbook, basically, and applied it to our retail food store and called it takeout, because I thought everybody could understand takeout. So again, just to almost like put out remedial type, very, you know, with the 3-point, safe, quick, easy. When we put up the image of the bag, it was almost instantaneously, we saw local people register on our website and was basically, oh, thank God, I was wondering how I'd get your stuff. It was instant. So these have really, really worked. And again, what I was trying to do, very, very simple, drill it down, don't overwhelm people and get them out. So.
Some great advice there, Cheryl. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jeff, what's your marketing strategy to drive traffic to the online store?
For us, it's mostly been Facebook, just to promote that we were still open and doing local pickup. I think we've honestly been just a little bit lucky as well. You know, we had a very small piece of the online pie to begin with, and I think our percentage of that pie is still the same. It's just that it's huge now, right? So, so that's you know, who knows what the future will hold, but we've just kind of, I guess, rode the trend a little bit. I'd honestly say we're not great at promotion. We, like everybody else here, probably has got the digital marketing transformation grant. And so we were just about to hire WordJack to do our digital marketing. But we thought before we do that, we better make sure our website is half decent to begin with. So we spent, you know, January, February updating our website, changing the look of it a little bit. So we were fortunate that we had done that. And so the website looked half decent when all this started. And so, yes, we'll hopefully do more promotions in the future. But for now, I think it's a bit of Facebook, a bit of word of mouth, and just plain luck.
Let's ride that luck, shall we? I'm going to shift gears again one more time, and Alex, start with you on this question. Catherine referred to this earlier, just in relation to sort of budget that should be allocated. I'm curious to know a little bit more about, and this is fresh for you as a new business, how much time should somebody budget, as well as how much money should somebody budget to get themselves online?
We are also a recipient of the grant, so that helped immensely. We put all of it toward building the website, and then some. We will have extra costs at the end. But yeah, it's not inexpensive to get a great website, and if you want it to be everything your business needs it to be, it's definitely going to cost a little bit more. I'm super content with what we have out there, but there's always room to grow, so I will be putting more money into it. That being said, by the end of this, I will have probably spent $6,000 just on the website, and it's a pretty basic website, but right now it's keeping us open. Like, we decided to close our doors to social distance, etc., but it's paying our bills, so it's worth it for us in the end. Oh, I forget the second part of it.
In terms of time, how much of a time investment? You mentioned earlier, you know, within 2 weeks you were able just to get the business up and running online because you were forced into that. But you know, are we talking 80 hours? I
mean, that is a great question for the young lady who actually built the website in the end. On my end, yes. And like I said, we started this in November. Like, we really did need the fire lit to make it happen. But if you don't have the time because it's just you running the business, it's going to take a little bit longer. And unfortunately, maybe you don't always trust the opinion or whatever of other people. And it's not like a distrust thing, just you want it to follow your vision. So you don't just let them fly free and create something. You kind of nitpick and ride them a little bit, and so you know that at the end it's exactly what you want. So it can be a lot of time. Ours definitely didn't need to be, but here we are.
Yeah, there you go. Catherine, I'll come to you with a similar question, but you've been online for some time now. How much time do you spend, perhaps even as a percentage of the time that you spend running your business, how much of that time do you spend massaging your online practices and exercises?
So I spend a portion of every day, 7 days a week, I'm doing something for my website or for my online presence, whether it's an Instagram post, whether it's photos, whether it's talking to partners, potential partners. Like we just did a thing with Bad Vegan yesterday, and I got 40 new people on my Instagram feed right from that. I mean, there's different ways to back end into this. In terms of the actual maintenance of the website, for me, I would probably say an hour a day. And right now, maybe even a little bit more, just because it's my only lifeline to the world, because a lot of my revenue was also partnership things like with Scandinave or the Blue Mountain. Well, that's dried up too. So it behooves me to put all of my resources into the website right now and do whatever I can to push social media and to work with partners. Because I mean, that's the way to go. And that's a key thing, I think, to this. I really believe that we should be working together to survive and finding ways to partner to survive, because that's what's going to make the difference for small businesses. If there's ways that you can hook into each other, do it.
Yeah, thank you for that. We're just down to our last couple of minutes, so a quick comment from each of you, if I could. If you could have done this all over again, or if you had to do this all over again, would there have been something that you would have done differently? Could we help with our collective experience to save time for business owners that are out there and looking to make that move online? Is there one tip, one trick, or one thing that you may have done differently to have saved you time or expense working through this process to flip your business online? Let's start with Guy.
I think the number one rule for anybody, just to pin it to their mirror in the morning, is have no fear. Because the building an online store in 2020, it's not child's play, but it's also not rocket science. So I would say have no fear, because the tools are out there to build very simple online stores. And if you build it and promote it properly, they will come. And then make sure that you have built something, are building something that has expandability. So you can go in different directions with it when you need to, that it's a flexible and not a closed-end system.
Thanks, Guy. Alex, how about yourself?
For me, it might be pretty business dependent, but for Squarespace, they don't offer the option to have tax and no tax on different products, and coffee doesn't have tax. And I didn't know that was an issue until after we had published the website. So it has been a lot of work on the back end for me, doing the bookkeeping and the admin, to kind of parse out, well, this had tax, this didn't. And on our site, coffee's $14. A tea blend is $28.25. It doesn't look the way I want it to look. I definitely would have asked more questions. Not a question I ever thought I'd have to ask, but now that I know, hindsight, whatever, we might be rebuilding our website with that in mind, because it's just so much time wasted trying to figure out what did and did not have tax on it.
Yeah, good advice. Thank you. Cheryl, how about yourself? One tip, one trick.
I find that I would have been better served had I not at the very beginning overthought things, and got too wrapped up in technology and really stuck to, like my Facebook messaging. I mean, just simple. So I think it's much more important to get there and just do it and evolve from there, as Guy was saying. It's the overthinking that snags us up, I find. We wouldn't overthink our physical stores. So why overthink the online portion?
Yeah, Yeah. And Jeff, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think some good points made so far. I think, you know, you have to know that nothing is going to be perfect. Like Lightspeed works, but it's not great. So, you know, just start with something and know that you're going to have to probably change along the way. You know, things to think about why we chose Lightspeed partially is things like payment providers. You know, how are you going to get paid, and is it integrated? How much extra are you going to pay for that? You know, we looked at Shopify, but then I think Shopify, somebody else is probably using it. They take a fairly decent chunk off of every sale. And, you know, we're on tight enough margins as is. I don't think they needed to get an extra chunk. So just all these little things to think about. And the one thing I didn't really like with Lightspeed is everything is kind of an add-on. You know, there's the base package. If you wanted to do more Google optimization, well, that's an extra so much a month. If you wanted to do gift cards online, well, that's so much. That's another add-on. If you wanted to add different shipping options, well, that's so much extra. So think about all these things you want and do your research about what the different options are out there. Yeah, but just do something and know that you're probably going to have to change.
Yeah, thank you. And Catherine, a last word from yourself?
Think about your point of arrival. What do you want to achieve with it? And try to work backwards from there. Know your demographic. Know what your product is, and to, you know, talking about payments, talking about taxes, talking about the shipping costs, like really think about what you're going to put on that site. Don't be afraid to start small. Don't be afraid to start with just a small site with a few products, but quality pictures, things that look good, that entice people to buy. And don't be afraid to leverage things like we have the Collingwood Commons now. It's great to have other venues to help support you to get your product out there until you can really get there. So don't be afraid to dive in and leverage whatever's available to you out there.
Thank you so much for that. So we're going to wrap this session up. I've made a few notes throughout the course of this, just to try to highlight some of the key points that came through to me, such as don't overthink it. You got to just get this done. It's time as a business owner to roll up your sleeves and really get stuck into that fulfillment. Your role within your business certainly sounds like it's changing and perhaps will continue to change. You don't have to be an expert. You got to start shopping, right, for everything that you're looking at. Good pictures are going to make a difference, so invest some time and money perhaps into good pictures. Make sure that your systems are integrated and integratable with each other. Keep tinkering with things, play with it. That sort of certainly came through strongly. Put the start shopping button up front and center of your websites. In fact, I went to every one of your websites, and I think, you know, the path to purchasing has certainly been made as simple as it possibly can. Right on your home pages, there's a message about the pandemic that we're working through, what your commitment to trying to serve the customers is, and really making it very easy for people to make a purchase. A few times you mentioned as panelists the digital service squad that's available, and this is still a service that's available to the community. You can go to enterprisecenter.ca and find ways to book a session with Ben Frisch, our Digital Service Squad representative. Some of you received the grant. You mentioned that. That grant is actually no longer available unless the province decides to bring it back. We hope they do. But the Digital Service Squad is a service that's available to any business in our community to help them tweak and play with their online technologies and that footprint, and hopefully to expand that digital footprint. And as well was mentioned by Catherine, I did want to mention this again, is Collingwood Commons has been created out of the goodness of Brandon Houston's heart and other partners to really try to find a way to help businesses get online with some presence in terms of selling online. It's a great starting point. It's a resistance-free access to online sales, so please feel free to use that. I'd like to thank again the partners at the Business Development Center for supporting this session. Particularly, I'd like to thank each of our panelists. So Alex, Jeff, Catherine, Cheryl, and Guy, thank you to each of you for sharing your words of wisdom. Please tune in next week for our tech tools and tech to make your online store a local success story. Ben Frisch, my colleague, will be hosting that session to help people really dig into the back-end systems and learn a bit more about that information from some of our local tech gurus. And with all that said, we are now wrapped. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and good luck in your business endeavors. Take good care, everyone.
You guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't forget Mom.